Hello, family, and welcome to another segment of One-on-One. It's presented through the Hope TV. I am excited that you've tuned in to our Legacy series. We are just delighted that you've tuned in. Everybody, thank you for tuning in, whether it's Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Amazon, Fire TV, if you watch through Facebook, YouTube, the websites, thank you for being a part today. Listen, this is going to be an exciting time. I'm thanking you in advance. Please reach out to a friend, a relative, and a neighbor and let them know that One-on-One is on the airways, and this is our Legacy series. As a matter of fact, do me a favor. If you're watching through a platform that will allow you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share, please do so now. This is going to be so special, so incredible. I'm excited to have you here with us. This series has been amazing. You know, we are one church that ministers to 5 generations, and it's so important that we have conversations. And one of the things that we have not done good in many of our communities, and we have not told our stories. And so we're here to tell the stories of people who are champions, who are winners, who are survivors in life. And if we learn from their stories, it can help us. And so please call a friend, call a relative, and call a neighbor. Listen, I'm excited. Some of you know, most of you who've been watching our programming know that our church, Greater Travelers Rest Baptist Church, the Greater Travelers Rest Baptist Church, was organized in May of 1876. And so this year we are 146 years young that God has kept this church and is keeping this church and allowed this church to be a beacon light in this community, from Father Tillman and Father Stinson and Pastors Lee and Evans and Scruggs and Zimmerman and Parker and Brown and all those who have served in this ministry, from Pastor Golston and Pastor King and Pastor Ray and Pastor O.J. Moore and Pastor J.W. Tate and Pastor L.A. Pinkston and, of course, Pastor H.F. Shepherd. All these great men of God who have led this ministry. And we are excited today. I want y'all to listen to this. Drum roll, please. I need y'all to play a drum roll. Drum roll, drum roll. Hit your table, hit a book. Drum roll, please. We are here today, and we have a beautiful woman who has been a part of this church. Are y'all ready? Are y'all listening? Are you? I said drum roll, please. Come on. Listen, she has been a part of this church for 83 years. Did you hear me? What an amazing, out of 146 years, she's been here for 83 years. And we are delighted. In the words of my mama, I am tickled pink to have the opportunity to present to you today Miss Vashti Lattimore. Y'all put some hands in the chats for her, and y'all welcome her to One-on-One. How you doing, beautiful lady?
I'm doing fine.
83 years.
83 years.
You don't look over 83. You like you in your 60s and your 70s. Hey, you've been a part of the church for 83 years?
For 83 years.
And you got a birthday coming up, I understand, in a few weeks.
I have a birthday, July the 2nd.
July the 2nd, and that's going to make you...
That will make me, 92.
92.
92 years.
92 years young, July 2nd. Did y'all hear what you just said? She'll be 92 years young, July 2nd. Listen, we're going to have to do something special for that birthday. We're going to have to do something special for that. Listen, you are just an incredible woman. And the church loves you, the community loves you. And I just want to hear your story. So talk about, where you were raised, because I think you were raised in the Edgewood community too.
Edgewood.
Talk about Edgewood. We hear a lot of talk about Edgewood now, and so much change has come, and people are buying, but the Edgewood that is now is not the Edgewood that was when you grew up. Tell us about Edgewood.
No, I was born in Edgewood.
Born in Edgewood.
And I lived on Mason Avenue, the real Mason Avenue.
The real Mason Avenue.
The real Mason Avenue. And believe it or not, I lived there in the rear for 16 years. And all 16 years, we only had kerosene lamps for 16 years. All 16 years while I was in Edgewood, we didn't have a bathroom. We had outdoor toilet. So for 16 years, I would run up to the outdoor toilet. Every Saturday, my grandmother would have us to mop. We had to mop and we had to sweep the yard. We had dirt. We didn't have grass, dirt. We had to sweep the yard.
Wait a minute. So y'all had to sweep dirt.
We had to sweep the dirt.
Why are you sweeping? Why are you sweeping dirt?
Because we had leaves to fall on the dirt. Because we had pecan trees, and we had to sweep the dirt so the yard would be nice and clean. And believe it or not, I did not take a bath in a bathtub until I was 16 years old.
You didn't take a bath in the tub until you were 16.
16, I always take my bath in a tin tub.
In a tin tub?
Tin tub, and we would heat the water on this stove. We didn't have hot water. No hot water. You put your water on the stove and heat it in a kettle.
My goodness.
And then you pour it in the tin tub. I would take my bath in the tin tub near the stove, wooden stove. And after I get my bath, my brother would take his bath in my water after me.
Wait a minute. So you and your brother use the same water?
We used the same water.
Oh my.
And my brother was Deacon Arthur C. Reed. They call him Bubba.
Yes.
And he would get in the tub after me.
Are you kidding me?
Every Saturday, we had to take a bath.
Every Saturday?
Every Saturday, because on Sunday, we had to go to Sunday school. We go to church. And then, believe it or not, at 3 o'clock, we would walk down on Watson Street. And we called it the white folks church. White folks Sunday school. We would go to the Sunday school down on Watson. And we would go down there at 3 o'clock because they would give us a piece of candy.
Wow.
And that was our Sunday school, 3 o'clock Sunday school.
So you went to your church in the morning and went to the white people's church in the afternoon?
Yeah, they wasn't in a church, it was a house.
A house.
In the afternoon, and then at 4 o'clock, we have to go back to my church, Travelers Rest, for BTU.
Baptist Training Union.
Baptist Training Union. We had to go.
Wow.
And then we would go back home up Mason Avenue. And if my mother said, we're going to church tonight, we have to go back to church at 7 o'clock.
At Travelers Rest.
At Travel Rest.
So you telling me y'all will have to sweep the dirt, no concrete, no pavement,
no,
to get the leaves off the dirt.
Right.
Kerosene.
Right, kerosene lamp.
And outside
toilet.
And took a bath in a tin tub.
Took a bath in a tin tub.
On Saturday.
On Saturday. I would bathe first, and then my brother would bathe.
And here's what gets me. We don't appreciate, we take so much for granted.
Oh, yes.
You know, we don't really realize how good we have it, and yet you went through it, and in spite of all that, you were able to go to school?
I was able to go to school.
Yes.
And one thing about it, I went to kindergarten.
Okay.
And we had kindergarten at Beulah Baptist Church.
Okay.
On Hardy.
On Hardy.
And the kindergarten class was on the steps on Hardy.
Really?
You know, they had high steps, about 15 steps on this side and 15 on that side. We would have Sunday school. We would have school there.
Outside?
Outside.
On the steps?
On the steps, on Hardy. And my grandmother carried me to school. And when she turned and left, I cried. And there was a little boy in the class. And he came over and took my hand and said, "Don't cry, I'll take care of you." And that little boy's name was Ralph Lattimore. That was in kindergarten. So he took care of me, and I stopped crying. And every day I go to kindergarten, he would come over, I'll go to him and sit up under him, and he'll say, "Don't cry today, don't cry today." He would pat me and tell me not to cry, and I didn't cry.
So you met Ralph Lattimore in kindergarten.
So in the kindergarten, then after kindergarten, Ralph Lattimore and I left and went on to Wesley.
Wesley?
We went to elementary school together.
Okay.
And he would still take care of me. He would see me, "You all right?" He would pat me and take care of me. Then after we went to Wesley, we went to David T. Howard High School.
David T. Howard?
And he would see me. I would be walking up the street, and the Reverend Shepherd would live down the street on Mason Avenue. He would come walking up the street behind me, and he would have his briefcase. And we said, "Here come the Reverend." That was Reverend Shepherd. But Ralph and I would go on to David T. Howard. We walked all the way up Mason to DeKalb Avenue. And we didn't have buses then. We had streetcars. So we would go up there on DeKalb and get on the streetcar. And the streetcar would carry us all the way down to Howard Avenue. So Howard, we get off at Howard, and we walked from Edgewood all the way up to, I believe it was up above Boulevard. Anyway, Dr. King lived in front of David T. Howard, so we would walk all the way up there, and we come back. And all of my life at David T. Howard, all the way through David T. Howard, I was steady, because I wanted to be somebody.
Wow.
I wanted to be smart. And I had to study all of my lessons by a lamp light, put kerosene in the lamp. And then you sit at the table, dinner table, and I would do my work. I would write and I would read. And I did not go to bed without reading, telling my brother, my baby brother, Bubba, a story. And I would tell him a story, and he would go on off to sleep. And my mother, she had 2 children. She loved us. We had this one bed. She would have me in one arm and my brother in the other arm. And she would always tell us a story, too. I grew up in a loving family. We weren't poor. We just didn't have what we have today. But then we had the lamp light. We had the wooden stove. We had to put coal in the stove, wood in the stove, go outside, get the water. We had everything that we wanted, and we was happy.
Hey, Dad, I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
I
Hi, this is Lena Bird Miles, and you're watching Tea and Worship right here on Hope TV.
You know, it's amazing when you hear the stories of the excuses that a lot of young people make now. I mean, when you think about doing your homework with kerosene light,
Kerosene lamp.
but wanting to read and wanting to learn and wanting to be great,
Right.
you know, using the outside toilet,
Right.
taking a bath in the tub, but it didn't stop you from wanting to learn.
Right.
Did that come from your mother? Did your mother put that in you, or was it something you had, something you wanted?
I had a loving grandmother. My grandmother was from Covington, Georgia. So everybody in Covington, Georgia, you know, out in the country, they had wells out there. But we didn't have a well, you know. So my grandmother instilled a lot of that in me. And one thing about it, I said, when I grow up, I'm going to take care of my mother. That was instilled in me. And my brother. I love my brother because he was my baby. So I took care of my mother and I took care of my brother.
So how many years apart were you and your brother?
My brother, 2 years apart.
2 years apart.
2 years apart.
So let's go back to Ralph Lattimore for a minute. So your grandmother takes you to the kindergarten at Beulah on the steps. She walks away, you're crying.
Crying.
And this little boy named Ralph comes and puts his hands on your knee and says,
right,
don't cry.
Don't cry.
And then from there to Wesley, from Wesley to David T. Howard.
Right.
So from kindergarten on, y'all didn't separate.
No, we didn't separate. He was still my little boyfriend, and he would take care of me.
He would take care of you.
Yes.
And you end up marrying.
For 63 years.
63 years. Ralph Lattimore.
Ralph Lattimore.
That you met in kindergarten.
In kindergarten.
And took care of you until the very, very end.
Right. We was happy.
Yes.
Happy.
And you took care of him.
And I took care of him.
You took care of each other.
Right, right.
Isn't that something?
We was happy.
Yes. So, and you know, when I think about you and hear the story of David T. Howard, then you left there and you decided to go to college.
I left David T. Howard.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Edgewood.
Right.
David T. Howard was in Fourth Ward.
Okay.
If you lived in Edgewood,
mm-hmm.
David T. Howard only went to the 10th grade.
Okay.
So we had to transfer to Washington High School.
Really?
So what we would do, we would ride the streetcar, go through Peachtree Arcade. That was a store downtown on Peachtree Street. We'd walk through there, and then we would get on our West Hunter bus.
Okay.
And we'd go all the way to Washington High School.
So you have to go to high school from Edgewood, Mason Avenue, to the west to Washington.
To Washington High School.
For 2 years.
Went there for 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, they said David T. Howard is going to become a senior high.
Wow.
And when they said that, everybody jumped up. And we went back to David T. Howard. And that's when I finished David T. Howard. Because Washington High was letting everybody on the east side go back to David T. Howard High School.
Oh, my goodness.
But my school years was a happy years. And by us going to Washington High, and we were from David T. Washington High was on the west side of Atlanta.
Right.
And a long time ago, the west side of Atlanta was the rich side of Atlanta. Edgewood was the poor side. We was poor people. So they thought, but we was happy. So we had to go there and do the best we could. And when I went to Washington High, I let them know I was from Edgewood. I hit that honor roll. I stayed on that honor roll. And I had a teacher, Mrs. Robinson, Latin teacher. Whatever you make on the test on Friday, that's the seat you will sit in, the first row, first seat. It's all the way down, second row, the B, all the way down. I made my business to go home and study by my lamp light. I still had lamp, and I would sit in that first row. If I couldn't get that first seat, I had a friend, my friend, she was from Edgewood too, Helen Gray. She's Helen Lawson now, from Edgewood. She grew up and traveled the rest too. She would get the first seat one week, and I would get the first seat. We would alternate like that. We would always make top. We did not go under making 99.
Oh my goodness.
It would be 99 and a half. Okay. So we went on through. And
that was Latin?
that was in Latin.
You took Latin
Latin.
at Washington High?
At Washington High School.
Oh my goodness.
And you had to sit in, Mrs. Robinson, you had to sit in the row, whatever you make. And, we never did move out of that first row. And we kept the first two seats.
That's beautiful.
Today, we're going to be making some southern fried okra. I know you guys probably saying, ooh, I don't like okra, it's too slimy or whatever. But I'm going to tell you, the way we're going to deep fry this thing, you're not going to taste any slime. Let's go.
And so you came back to David T. Howard for your senior year, for your last year.
Went back to David T. Howard. And in my heart, I was instilled. We had moved from Edgewood to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So I went back to David T. Howard. And I was determined that I was going to be smart, because people said long time ago, Deacon Charles Turner used to tell us, nothing good comes out of Edgewood.
Oh, wow.
So I was determined to prove to them that something good comes out of Edgewood.
Wow. Why did he say that?
They said that because we was in the DeKalb County, and they lived on the west side,
Gotcha.
Fulton County. So they thought everybody in DeKalb County was poor.
Gotcha.
And lazy. But they really instilled in me to be smart.
That's great.
So when I left, I graduated. Okay, all the way through high school, I was always on the honor society because I would get my lamp and study and read at night. And I would always make 90, 95, 100 and all that. But see, I had a girlfriend, Helen Lawson. We would always say, we're going to be smart because we're from Edgewood. They said, nothing good comes out of Edgewood.
Wow.
But we came out of Edgewood.
And that's something.
And then when I finished high school, I was not bragging, but I was so smart. I got a scholarship to Marsh Brown College, a 4-year scholarship to Marsh Brown College. From Edgewood, I went to Marsh Brown College, didn't pay a penny, but I worked every day. I would go to work. I would leave Marsh Brown up on the hill, get on the streetcar, on the bus, and go all the way to Emory University.
Oh, my goodness.
I was known as Emory Pie Girl. I would go there for 2 hours. All I had to do was slice the pies, and put the pies in the window out there on the steam table for the employees. And Deacon Butler would carry me to Emory to work on Sundays. And that's what I did. And I got that spare money because I was poor. Not poor. I didn't have the money.
Understood.
So that's what I did. I mean, I've been through it all.
A 4-year scholarship with Morris Brown, but you had to support. Now tell me when you joined the church.
Okay.
Who was the pastor when you joined? Tell me what you remember about when you joined the church.
Okay, when I joined the church, my grandmother always instilled in us Jesus Christ, church, respect the church, respect the property and everything. So Reverend Tate baptized me. He was tall, big, tall man. We trusted him. And he would dump us under that water and bring us up. Anyway, Reverend Tate baptized us.
Wow.
So, and Eric, we would always sit I was about 8 years old. I said, I'm not going to sit on that, we call it the moaning bench.
Yeah.
Sit on the moaning bench, the first bench, every week. During revival.
Yes,
I said, I'm going to go up there and join the church. And they said, what you going to say? I said, what did that man say? I want to join the church, be baptized, and serve the Lord until I die. So everybody on my road would say, I want to join the church and be baptized and serve the Lord until I die. So that was what we said. But anyway, the church, the Greater Travel Rest,
Yes, ma'am.
was my heart, my love, my everything. I didn't know anything, but my grandmother taught me, love your church, love your home, love your family. So I didn't know anything but the church and the home and school. And go to school, get your lesson, and be somebody. And she told me, she said, you're a Vashti. Vashti is the queen. She's the black queen.
My.
Said, now you got to be somebody. And she told me, said, respect your body. She said, whatever you do, keep your body covered. She said, don't expose your body.
My.
Said, because you are our black queen, Vashti.
Wow.
So I love my name, and I love the meaning that she told me. You couldn't be a Vashti unless you were somebody. And you couldn't be a somebody unless you were smart in school. You had to go to school. You had to do it because that's what we were brought up doing.
This is beautiful. And so the whole time when you were in high school and Morris Brown, now were you and Mr. Raff, were y'all still together then?
We were still going together. We never did quit.
You never did quit?
No, he went to Army Okay, he went to the Army and I was still in school. Okay, then he had to work. So he went to Carver Vocational School.
Okay.
And he went up there and he did woodwork and all that, you know. But anyway, we never did quit. And we just kept going together while he was in service and all of that. I didn't have time to go around and get boyfriend. I had to study. That was taught, and my grandmother told me, you got to go in there and get your lesson. So I knew I had to do my lesson.
So from the time you were 5 years old, you and Ralph Lattimore were together the whole time.
We was together all the time,
That's
all
beautiful.
the time.
That's beautiful. And so when you finished Morris Brown, you decided to go into education?
When I finished Morris Brown College, okay, Dr. Cochran was the educator professor there. So I decided I wanted to go into education. So I went into education. Then something told me, said, you know what? You can take a test and go to Atlanta University. So I took a test and I passed the test and I got a scholarship and I went to Atlanta University and I worked on Saturday. I was still the pie girl at Emory. I would go out there and slice the pies up. I can really slice the pies and 8 slices, 16 slices, you know. I can slice pies. I was a pie girl. So then, after I went there, went on back to Morris Brown. After that, got a scholarship, went on to Atlanta University. And I went to Atlanta University for 2 years. And I got my master's degree there. But doing from high school to Atlanta University, I got married between high school and Atlanta University.
Gotcha.
I got married. Okay, then I had a son. And my son was a little baby. And when he was about 4 years old, he was at Atlanta University. And everybody at Atlanta University knew him because I would go in the lounge. And I would sit in the lounge and he would be there. I'd leave him down there to play. And I would go upstairs to my class. And he would stay down there until I come back. So he went to Atlanta University with me.
So God has been so good, and then you became an educator.
Yes.
How long did you work in education?
I became an educator, okay. And then I went to, long time ago, they were not hiring Black teachers in Atlanta. Therefore, I had to go out of Atlanta. So I went to Fitzgerald, Georgia.
Fitzgerald, okay.
And I taught school in Fitzgerald, Georgia. So I was at Fitzgerald, Georgia for about 2 years. And then the secretary at Booker T. Washington, Mrs. Rivers, she told me, Vashti, come back to Atlanta University. I know the man in education. And so you go down there and have an interview, so they're gonna hire you. So I came back and I was hired okay, where was I? Okay, I was hired to teach in Atlanta. See, everybody couldn't teach in Atlanta, you know, especially blacks, poor black. You had to teach in the country or outside.
Gotcha.
So I went and I taught in it. After that, we taught there. And I've been through it all. Then after that, Atlanta, they sent me to English Avenue. I went to English Avenue and I taught there for about 10 years. Gladys Knight was one of my students.
Wow.
And I made sure that everybody that came under me was going to be smart, going to be somebody.
Wow.
And after that, I went on to the next school, which was Venetian Hills. So I only taught in 2 schools in Atlanta, Venetian Hill. And at Venetian Hill, I always wanted to be smart. So anyway, they gave me a scholarship and everything, and they put me in. I have a book. I'm gonna show you the book. It's a book about that thing. And they have outstanding teachers in America, not in Atlanta or Georgia. Outstanding teachers in America. And my name is in there, and my history, and my husband, and everything is in this book.
Wow.
So they sent me this book.
Wow.
Because I always wanted to excel.
That's wonderful.
I was taught that from kindergarten up.
You know,
Okay.
when I think about this, Pastor Tate
Tate.
joined with him. Then when he left, Pastor Moore came.
Right.
Then Pastor Pinkston came.
Pinkston.
Then Pastor Shepherd came.
Right.
So that's from 1933, when Pastor Tate came here, to Pastor Shepherd retired in 2003. You served under all these pastors, and you're still here, and you're still looking good, and you serve in education, you excel. What do you say? You're married to your husband for 63 years. What do you say to the people who are out there with dreams and visions and goals? What kind of advice would you give to people about how you made to where you are right now? That's what I want to hear from.
Okay, I will tell someone, okay, I have a goddaughter sitting out there now. She's been my baby ever since she was born. Before she was born, she was my baby. My goddaughter out there, she just got her doctorate degree. She's a doctor now. But I will tell everybody, what you do is, first, you got to love the Lord. You got to grow up under God's hand. You can't just say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. You got to pray about it. You got to know how to pray. You got to know how to thank God. And you got to be able to help other people. So I would tell the young people out there today, I don't know what's going to happen to them today now, but I would tell them, go to church. They don't want to go to church. Go to church. Go to school. Get you a little part-time job if you need some extra money. Don't go out and steal or anything like that. But you got to be yourself. And you got to always say, I've always said that I want to live with myself. And I don't want to sit with the setting sun and hate myself for the thing I've done. You know.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what I would tell them, to go out and be somebody. But you got to do it within your heart. You can't do what the other people are doing. You got to tell yourself, I am somebody.
My.
And I'll tell anybody, I am somebody.
Yes.
And you got to live that life, not just tell it.
Yes, ma'am.
But you got to show them. Because some people understand better when they see it than when they hear it.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's it. I don't know what we're going to do now, Reverend.
Well, I wanted you to come home today because you have lived and you're living a beautiful life. You've lived a lot, you've blessed, and you're still living and you're still blessing people. And we don't tell our stories enough, and to our young people, and a lot of other people are trying to stop us from telling our stories.
Right.
So I wanted you today, family, to tune in to get the wisdom. And that's what we're missing in our society today. We're not getting the wisdom from those who've gone before us. And so I'm thankful that you've tuned in today for this Legacy series with this beautiful, soon to be 92-year-old.
92.
July 2nd, she's gonna be 92. And we're gonna turn up for her birthday. We're gonna do something special for her birthday. And I want y'all to help us celebrate Miss Vashti Lattimore because she has lived a long life and we honor the Lord for keeping her. And she's still alive and still strong. You see, her memory is better than some of us right now who's 30 in our 40s. And we are thankful to God. So I hope you've been inspired. I hope you've been encouraged. I hope you got some hope. That's what this is all about, to give you hope that you can believe, that you can succeed. And she is a living testimony that God will take care of you. So thank you for tuning in to the one-on-one today. You've been blessed by Miss Vashti Lattimore. Share this link with somebody and let them know. She told you, put God first, pray, do your best, be yourself, and pray to God and believe that God will take care of you. So thank you for tuning in today. As always, remember this, if you'll be good to God, God will be good to you. Until next time, peace and love to you. God bless.
All right, bye.